Hold up. Yeah. Up.
Hello, you're welcome to this week's edition of Our Perspective. Like you know, on Our Perspective, we pick up local stories and give them an international outlook. Today, on Our Perspective, we will try to understand how COVID-19 has impacted the educational system across the globe. Many educational institutions have been shut down temporarily as the fight against COVID-19 continues. Here in Ghana, the president, in an address to the nation, directed that all educational facilities be shut down until further notice. Without wasting much time, let's delve deep into our discussions. Our guests for today are six young people from six countries across the globe. Our first guest is Emmanuel Krah, who is a graduate student in Italy. Now, you should understand again that Italy currently has the highest number of deaths from COVID-19. And so he would give us a proper perspective of how students in his country are actually coping with this, especially knowing that their country has the highest number of deaths. We also have Seeba Salifu, who is a student in Turkey. We also have Anabella Saikoom-Dadzie, who is a graduate student at Ohio University in the United States of America. Again, it's very instructive for us to know that the United States of America has the highest cases of COVID-19 currently. And so she would also give us a proper context on how it has affected their student life in the United States of America. Ajaratu Masawudu is a teacher trainee at the University of East London in the United Kingdom. Nadia is also a student in Turkey, but she hails from Egypt, and so she's going to be giving us a proper perspective of what is currently happening in Egypt, her home country. Finally, we have Nasiba Garba, who is a student of the Ghana Institute of Journalism here in Ghana. Now let's just delve into the issues. Can you tell us what was your first reaction when you heard of the first case of COVID-19 in your country? How did you feel about it?
So my initial feeling about the first case, actually the first case was recorded in early February, and me personally, I was very scared, and I think some of my friends and family also here, they were very scared because we heard about the death in China, since China is the epicenter of this virus, and what happened in China, and almost 3,000 cases, almost 1,000 cases a day recorded in China. So me personally, I was very scared.
When the first COVID-19 was recorded in the UK, I was a bit in denial because I didn't really believe it. And I thought, okay, even if it was recorded, we have a good health care system and we'll probably be able to tackle it. That's how I was feeling, like, right from the start.
Hi everyone. So recently, COVID-19 has been declared as a pandemic by the World Health Organization. I want to explain the feeling when the first case has been recorded in Egypt. So there wasn't any panic between Egyptians, especially the case was foreign tourists, and the World Health Organization wasn't declared it as a pandemic at that moment.
Turkey, we know, is part of the global community. So definitely when we heard of the coronavirus case emanating from Wuhan, China, we surely knew we were going to be faced with such a problem in this country. But the government, having learned from the experiences of Italy, China, and Spain, decided to put in place concrete measures to tackle this kind of problem. The first victim actually was a Turkish citizen who just came back from a trip from a neighboring country.
The first time when I heard first that the coronavirus or the COVID-19 had come to Ghana, I was in my mind. I said, okay, this is it. It is finally here. Oh my God! I wasn't surprised, but before it came to Ghana, it had already been declared a pandemic. And so everybody's hope or prayer was that it would not get here. Now, it had already come to Togo, which is east of Ghana, Burkina Faso, north of Ghana, and Cote d'Ivoire, west of Ghana, and I used to joke about how before it would come to Ghana, I would have to go to the Atlantic Ocean or the Gulf of Guinea, because there's no way we are going to take coronavirus in this country, but it still did. And my overall reaction was, it's here, and we need to brace ourselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Anabella Saikoom-Dadzie, a first-year graduate student studying political science here in Ohio University, just to share with us this whole coronavirus outbreak and how we have taken it as students here in the US. Just to begin with, I was a bit scared, especially when Ohio State had its first case recorded. I was scared because I felt the disease was closer to me than I anticipated. But I was fine along the line because there were measures to take. Don't touch your face, wash your hands constantly, use sanitizers often, stay in your room, keep a 6 feet social distance in case you found yourself outside. And that has worked for us all here.
Like we all know, COVID-19 seems to have disrupted everything in the world, education, economy, to various facets of our life. When your country first heard of COVID-19, what were some of the measures, or what are some of the measures that your government has put in place to ensure that your educational life is not truncated? And do you think that those measures have been helpful so far?
Turkey, upon recording its first case, the government decided to move so swiftly to close all schools, and then also the government also adhered to the norms of public education, because the government realized that if we were to combat this virus, the population needed to be, educated on the do's and don'ts. So they decided to also create a website, and the website is covid19.salek.gov.tr.
So, all education so far, all the institutions have moved everything online. However, key workers still have their children in school, especially primary school. So a key worker is someone that works in a supermarket, doctor, nurse, cleaner, people that are needed to be able to tackle COVID-19. So those people with children in primary school is still open for them, and some teachers are still working in school to make sure they're safeguarding the children, providing them with the learning they need and keeping them preoccupied.
Education in Ghana has been since not the lockdown, but since schools closed down. The president said in his address to the country that there would be arrangements for online classes in every school. And as far as I know, the University of Ghana has worked with some telecommunication networks to provide their students with affordable data bundles to be able to learn online. Also, a private university in this country called Ashesi University, I know that they've been given, immediately after the close down of schools, they did say that they would be giving their students 10 gigabytes every month to be able to participate in online classes without stress. As far as my school is concerned, there has not been any of those arrangements. We are looking forward to that.
Well, the measures has the government implemented particular to education is started postponed for 2 weeks. Then they extended up until 14 April with applying the online education system. For some school grades, they cancelled the second semester and replaced it by research.
So, measures implemented by the Italian government. So, the Italian government implemented certain measures. That was the closure of all educational centers, the closure of all high schools, all universities, and they also implemented the online studies for all educational centers. Students were allowed to access Microsoft Teams in order for them to access online classes with their professors. And just recently, I think this week or even next week, my school personally, we are having our midterm, but that's the pre-exams. And this has been very fruitful because it has engaged students, and we have classes like every day from Monday to Friday, which is quite equivalent to what we have in classes. So it has been very fruitful because students are able to engage with the professors. They also send the professors personal emails, and the professors also reply very early. And this has been very fruitful and has been very effective.
As we resumed from the spring break, we resorted to online classes rather than the in-person class. It has been good. I mean, we still have the books posted. We have the readings posted. We have assignments posted, deadlines posted. All you have to do is to make sure you check constantly to make sure that you don't lag behind.
It's one thing for government to put in measures, and it's also another thing for educational facilities to adjust. How has it been for your educational facilities adjusting to some of these measures put in place by your government?
In our education system, what the government has done is given us guidance in schools on how to make sure the learning of children are still effective and they're able to access it. In schools, especially the school that I was working in previously before all of this happened, we made sure to put resources online for children to be able to access their learning so they're not falling behind on the curriculum. And what we did for children that didn't have access to any computers or internet and they couldn't go to a library because it's obviously closed due to COVID-19, we made homework packs to send to them directly to their homes or to give it to them before the school ended. And yeah,
measures the school put in place. We are actually on a spring break when this disease broke out. I mean when it became very viral. And the first thing was that the spring break got extended and students were to stay wherever they were. I mean, those who had traveled were to stay where they were. Those of us who didn't go anywhere were also to be here on campus, and just so we prevent the spread of the disease.
A lot of students see that our online education system is not really enough for situations like this. That's why we can say it's not fruitful at that moment.
So, education-wise, in terms of information dissemination and from government, the Ghanaian government has been doing very well. The main or the frontliner of information has been the Ministry of Information, and they have a website, they have social media accounts, and those are the platforms or the main ways through which they disseminate information. There's also television and press conferences, and they have a Twitter account which is very active, and they have a hashtag Ask the Information Ministry where people ask questions and then add that hashtag and it goes straight to the account of the Ministry of Information and they get a swift reply.
So has the educational system adjusted? I would say yes. The education system has adjusted to this situation. It wasn't easy at first because it took like the university almost a week or two to adjust to this situation, because they had to implement a whole lot of policies because they didn't know what to do at first. But now they've adjusted to this situation very, very good. And also the students have also adjusted to this situation. As I said earlier, they implemented the online classes where students they had the opportunity to enjoy classes through the professors also giving all the necessary materials for students. And yeah, the educational system has adjusted to the situation.
The government, upon closing universities, decided to move courses and lectures and classes onto an online system that was led by the Ministry of Education in Turkey. Kindergartens are being taught through a TV system. They have some programs they have created for kids that are below 5 years in the form of cartoons, and they have also their professional teachers who are meant for kids below 5 years. They will do some recordings, and those recordings will be played on TV stations, and our younger ones will take some lessons and then some important knowledge from this platform. University students also are taking their courses online. We do our assignments online. We do everything that goes into a research, we do it online, and we do our submission, and we also get positive feedback from lecturers.
Of course, you've explained how government or your government has put in measures to make sure that students do not lose during this period. And you've also explained how your educational facilities have tried to adjust. But another question that begs for answer is, what has been your biggest challenge? What has been that challenge for you as a student, knowing that you are not in school, but you are home learning, if it's online, or if for your school, it's everything has been truncated at all. What's been that biggest challenge for you as a student during this period?
Definitely, we know every new system also comes with its own challenges, both for lecturers and for our students, because we have some professors in the system who are not used to the online system of education, so they also had to find their ways and means of adjusting to the new system that was adopted. And the same thing applies to we, the students. Graduate students, for instance, not all graduate students were familiar with an online system of education whereby you have to use your ID to log into an online system to download your course structure and everything. So it indeed this new system came along with some challenges, but I think both lecturers and university students now and high school students are also adopting, and then we are learning gradually from this system. And I am hopeful that within the next month, these problems we're having with the system is going to be a thing of the past.
A lot of the challenges students face. First of all, the weakness of internet, especially in villages and remote regions. Second, university students, they don't know the situation right now, how it will be. Is there still a second semester? Are there still exams? How exams will be? Will exams be online? The situation for university students, it's not clear.
I think the biggest challenge of a Ghanaian student right now is the uncertainty of when school is going to reopen. We don't know when it is going to reopen. We don't know if when it's reopened, school is going to continue as normal, because it cannot continue as normal, because it would mess up because the lockdown and the close down of schools has messed up with the system, the academic system, and ideally by now we should be preparing to write examination, but we are at home, and I think that's the biggest thing. Then again, with basic schools and secondary schools, there have not been any drastic measures that have been put in place in terms of how they're going to learn. And so now, I mean, there are shows on TV that teach students. The shows on TV where teachers will be teaching and students could watch and be learning, but it just cannot be compared to when a student is in class and it's learning. It's not the same.
So, challenges the students face now. In my university, there are two types of students. We have the international students and the Italian students. The Italian students, I can say, do not face that much because they live with their families and they also get help from their family members. But international students mostly rely on their scholarship and mostly rely on part-time work. And since the situation happened, some works were closed and students mostly have to depend, as I said, on their scholarship. So international students face difficulties a whole lot because they also have to pay their rent, their food, their transportation, and this situation has made it very difficult for some students to cater.
The challenge, I would say, is that we have libraries closed down. You can't make use of the library. You always have to be in your room, like you see me in my room. Make sure you always catch up with deadlines. So behind me is sticky notes just to make sure that I catch up with all the deadlines for every assignment, every reading, every discussion, because you are graded for your discussions. You have to make sure you take part in it. The other thing is that students lost jobs. okay, some students are working on campus, so with all the jobs closed down, students have to find ways and means to pay their fees and things that, I mean, your upkeep and your residence, I mean, paying for rent and all that. With the jobs closed down and all, it's really disheartening. But some of the jobs have resorted to remote work, so just that the number of hours you have to work have reduced, so it's still a problem, if you ask me.
In the country right now, some of the challenges students are facing is being productive. It is hard to be productive when you're indoors 24/7. As normal human nature, you want to be out there, you want to be doing things, you don't want to be locked indoors and being in the same environment for a long period of time. It's not good on your mental health. A lot of children are struggling to engage in their learning effectively. However, to how we are tackling this as teachers is by calling the students, making sure they're okay. And as a student, I find it difficult, especially going online and having to log in and saying that I'm present and I'm engaging in my learning. It is difficult because it's not the same feeling, it's not the same environment, and learning is not as effective either.
Of course, it's very clear that the world will never be the same after COVID-19. But for you, in your own personal perspective, what do you think your educational facilities or your educational systems will look like after COVID-19? How do you envisage your educational life after COVID-19?
At the end, from a point of view, the online education system in Egypt will be improved, not just for conditions like this, but maybe to be a part of our education system in the future.
The education system after the coronavirus. So I think personally the education system will go back to how it was at first. Normal classes, normal exam period, everything will be normal. Just that some students have to write their exams late because they didn't have the opportunity to do some of the online classes. So this will be only the difficulty for some students. They have to write their exams late. But in terms of it, the education system will be back to how it was at first.
After COVID-19, there had better be a revolution in the educational system, because the conversation of digitalization has been going on for quite some time now. Last semester in my school, in my level, we did new media, where we learned the importance of the internet and importance of the internet to education. And our lecturers were stressing on how very convenient and much better it is for students to be learning online, and digitalization and its importance to education and all that. And I believe that we have learned our lesson in terms of the fact that we weren't very prepared for this, for the close down of schools, in terms of how we were going to handle it if we were not going to school. I don't think we were very ready for that, and so there are some regrets, and I think the government is going to learn from that and is going to suggest or implement ways in which online learning is going to be integrated dominantly in our educational system, so that after COVID-19 we probably or hopefully won't have to be going to school as much, and we can just be learning online.
We have done well with the online class. I think it's been fruitful. Nothing has really changed, just that we are not in class, but we are having it online. So with these things, we are doing well. Just these few challenges, as I've already mentioned, and yeah, that's it. Thank you.
This is going to have a major impact on education, especially when school opens. The transition, especially for primary school kids going into secondary going into college going into university, they do not have that support system right now. They're going to miss out on all of that. They're going to have a huge gap in their learning. So as teachers, we need to work as a team. We need to come up with teaching strategies and learning strategies to help these children effectively to be able to close that gap quickly and to get them up to speed with the curriculum and make sure they're not falling behind.
COVID-19 for sure has shaken the entire world, the entire foundation of the world, not just the educational system. So definitely, just as businesses and other sectors of human life are learning and then are trying to put in place measures that would kind of provide urgent solutions to problems that would arise to any virus or any problem that would emerge in the future. For this reason, we know for sure education, the educational system of the world is also going to be impacted positively after we have gone through this. After we have gone through the problem of COVID-19, and we know definitely leaders around the globe and leaders in the field of education are also going to consider the essence of internet because this whole problem of online education goes with internet. Imagine somebody who lives in a village, somewhere in Ghana, somewhere in Niger, somewhere in Bangladesh, can never access online education in this difficult time. So definitely we know after this problem, it is going to, we are going to see a positive change, and the world leaders, community leaders are going to.
Well, my guests have given us an understanding of what is happening in their countries relative to COVID-19 and their educational system and how they are trying to cope. Here in Ghana, we're also trying our possible best. Many other schools have adopted online learning or online platforms to be able to teach their students. And like our president in Ghana says, that this too shall pass. Indeed, these are not normal times, and these are not normal times for any student. Knowing that you're actually in a class when you're lying on your bed, knowing that you actually have to still continue doing your assignments and all those things, they are not normal times. But we are very hopeful that the world will never be the same after COVID-19. And after COVID-19, we'll have proper conversations around how we transfer education from the teacher to the student. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been great having you as our guest today, and we hope that our subsequent shows you would watch them more, you would be interactive with us, you would like our platforms, and you would subscribe. Thank you very much for being with us. I'm very grateful for having you. Once again, my name is Abdul-Lahie Abdul-Rahim na Ninche. Bye bye.
Hold up.